Hi, welcome to the Pole Shift News. Guys, it's the 17th of February, and as you know, on or around about this time, we go and take out the SD cards, out the Trimack sensor, and out the Magnetosphere sensor, and we process that data and upload it to the website. We're looking at the data for the Trimack. As you can see, we've had a few more spikes, but I've got to say, guys, they've been a little bit less than what we've had over the last previous 4 months. So things have quietened down a little bit with that sporadic behaviour, although we are seeing it, but in smaller quantities. It's pretty much the same story, guys, for the magnetosphere strength. There's been some fluctuation over 2 microteslas or thereabouts, but pretty much, you know, the same as last month. We'll see it move up a little bit towards the 200 microtesla and then down back to where we calibrated around 188 microteslas. So a little bit of a fluctuation, but nothing significant, and it's a good thing because we don't want to see rapid changes in the magnetosphere strength at this point in time. Just want to say a quick big thank you to the people that have supported the observatory over the last week, and in this upload later on throughout the day there'll be a few names appear there that just the people really that have gone a little bit, beyond ordinary help, and I think we should thank those people. So if you do see their names come up in the comment section, just give them a thumb up, as a little bit of gratitude, because without people supporting the observatory, we wouldn't be collecting data for the 2 years that we nearly have with the Trimack, and at least 8 or 9 months now with the Magnetosphere sensor. And as you guys know, from now till the end of the month, we'll be assembling those other magnetometers that are going to be going over, the United States, south border of Russia or north border of China, Australia, and hopefully somewhere in the Falklands as well. It's through these people supporting this channel that we've got it to where we are about to go, international with some of these magnetometers now, and we'll be looking at more data. In particular, we're going to be putting the moving paths of these high intensity regions over the northern and southern hemisphere, and I think it will be a little bit more exciting to watch, because putting it in the track of something merging towards it, we'll see the data, or the nanoteslas, microteslas in this case, going up, and as it's leaving the Canadian region, we'll see them going down. So we're going to be, once we get those sensors to their locations, we're going to have more data, and we'll have a better idea as to what's going on and how fast it's taking place. Now, I was sitting here this morning, guys, just reflecting over the last nearly decade that we've been talking about this on at least YouTube, and look at where we've come, how far we've come. For the last 2 years, we've had data collected from our own magnetometers, tracking the magnetic North Pole for nearly 2 years, and we've tracked the magnetic pole on a very high resolution every 3 seconds. Every 15 minutes we've been collecting data recently over the last 8-9 months on the magnetosphere. And there's a lot of channels, as you know, that talk a lot about these same anomalies that we do, but we've taken it just that little bit further. We built a website dedicated mainly to the pole migration, although, as you know, and you can see here, we cover a lot of other things. There's a lot of live data now being streamed to the website from NASA, the ESA, NOAA. If you're interested in other things that are related in some ways, then you can find it on our website. We've got data on sunspot activity, sea ice, we've got live weather maps, radar, all sorts, and we track earthquakes on there. You can have a look at where the volcanic eruptions are taking place on the earth. It's become a one-stop shop for pretty much every geo-anomaly that's taking place on the earth. We even cover radiation, cosmic radiation. There's a site on there that we get data from, a couple of observatories that are monitoring Earth's influx of cosmic rays, and on top of that we also cover things like the Schumann resonance, and we've got data on there as well. So it's a one-stop shop for all these anomalies that are taking place, but mainly we're covering the migration of the magnetic poles, because in my view, and I've said this plenty of times, this is the main thing. Everything is going to point back to the poles when we start looking at things like climate. If we want to know why the climate's going the way it is going to point back to the magnetic North Pole migrating. And over the last 30 years, when we saw an uptick in the speed of which the poles started to migrate, you just compare that with all the other anomalies and you'll see that likewise they followed suit. An increase in tornadoes, an increase in hurricanes, an increase in these dramatic weather changes, flash floods, 2 years worth of rain in an hour on some locations of the earth, and then the mixing of the jet streams. All these things have taken place really in the last 30 years, and there's been two things that have been mainly responsible for that, guys. One, the earth going through a magnetic reversal, and two, the sun going into a low yield of sunspots, or a grand solar minimum, as some people are calling it. But it could even be worse than that, and only by studying what we're doing right now can we find out what exactly we are looking at. I mean, for instance, 12,000 years ago we was in a glacial period, and since then, if you look at some of the charts on this website, like the observations of the sun over 12,000 years, and I know some people say, well, how can you rely on observations over 12,000 years? It's a bit crazy, but I think what they're doing is they're linking carbon-14 into those observations, and that's how we've got that chart over 11,000 years. But if you look at that chart, it's exponentially dropping off, which could mean that we're going back into a glacial period on this planet. So don't worry about the ice age that we're already in. And this is what a lot of people don't know, is that we are already in an ice age. We never came out of the last ice age, so we're still technically in an ice age, but it's the glacial periods that come and go in thousands of years concessions, and we are on top of another glacial period, or going back over that line where we go into a glacial period. So things are going to cool down on this planet, and some of those things that could trigger these glacial periods could be things like grand solar minimums. I wouldn't have said magnetic reversals, but what I would say is that the two together could equally make something worse happen, and that's one of my concerns. So we are heading probably back into a glacial period, and these don't last 50 years like solar minimums do. These last thousands of years, and that will change the way we go about our business on this planet forever. We might lose all the technology that we've got as a result of things just collapsing all around us, and this could be what has happened to many civilizations on this planet as a result. So it is an important topic, guys, and I'm really proud of the fact that we've got our website and our observatory where we have to this day, and it's only been because of a few people that have supported it. And if you go onto Patreon, I think we are just over $900, and that's our budget, which is a very small budget when you compare one of the larger organisations such as NASA. They have millions of pounds at their disposal, but the reason why we're able to give them a good run for the money, and like we have recently come out with information before they have, is because we're lucky in the fact that I can do the programming, I can assemble these sensors, and I've given the time to keep continuously going to that Trimack sensor master unit, collecting the data off the SD, processing it myself, and putting it back up to the website for you guys. If you just give it a few minutes and think how many people would be involved in an organisation like NASA to get this observatory up and running and keep it running, there would be probably quite a large amount of people. First of all, you'd have to have probably mission experts or mission managers that would bring the whole thing together, and then you'd have processors, you'd have guys assembling the electronics, you'd have programmers, and then you'd have people that would actually just regularly collect the data and process it. That you're talking probably millions of pounds, and lots of more people. And the only reason we've been so lucky is because, you know, I've pretty much had a little bit of funding from you guys, and I've been able to do most of the work, the groundwork myself. And, you know, we can continue doing this as long as we continue getting a little bit of support for it, and we can hopefully, you know, expand a little bit more, which is what we're proposing to do towards the end of this month with those 6 to 8 other magnetometers that we're going to put in those countries we mentioned earlier in the video. So guys, if you want to support somebody that is proactive, doing something about it, you know, a little bit more than just going onto these mainstream organisations' websites, collecting the data that they feed the public, then, you know, there is 2 ways of doing that. We've got a PayPal link down there, and we've also got the Patreon link down there. You can support us, and by doing that, you can continue getting access to the data and the truth on regards to what's going on with our planet and the magnetic anomaly that's taking place right now. Guys, as you can see, we've got 154 patrons. They're 154 people, our patrons, our guardians, yeah, of Maverickstar Observatory, have raised $921. That's 154 people out of the 20,000 subscribers we've got on YouTube have come along and chipped in a buck or two to support the observatory. You know, I see a lot of these things, these conversions like that, you know, 20,000 and 154 active participants there. Okay, we've had a handful of people as well who have supported us on PayPal as well, which are, you know, kudos to those guys as well. But, you know, if you put these conversions into perspective, like for instance, let's just randomly select one of the biggest ones that pretty much most of you will know about, the 144,000 people in the Bible towards the end times. These are the ones that are going to be selected to serve God, yeah? Okay, without going too much into religion, I just want to get you guys to put your head around the conversion, yeah? 7 to 8 billion people on the planet, and that's the number that's been chosen, 144,000. That's not even 1%, is it? And I think that our conversion on our Patreon is probably matching that. And I just think that, you know, it makes me wonder sometimes how they knew, you know, thousands of years ago when they was writing these books, that those would be, you know, significant conversions between two large, a large sum and a very small sum. I'm pretty sure, you know, if we look into this, there's a Fibonacci connection somewhere, maybe. Maybe we'll have to do that and just see what that ratio means, because I see these conversions, like these large numbers attached to these small numbers, often, and I wonder why there is that significant gap in between the two. Like I say, we'll have to, I've divulged a little bit, I know that, guys, but we'll have to look into that, because I'm sure there's an interesting reason as to why that is, and maybe it might be found in a Fibonacci sequence of numbers, but we'll have a look at, like I say, another time. But, you know, I'm not taking nothing away from these guys that are supporting this channel, because without them we wouldn't be building these magnetometers now. You know, we wouldn't be collecting the data that we've got now. So, you know, kudos to all of you guys. And like I say, a little bit later on in the video, I'll put some names down there and you know, just show a bit of gratitude for those few that have gone a little bit further than, you know, ordinary. And if you want to support the channel, guys, then you can go over to Patreon. It costs less than $1 if you want to put $1 in. I know you can't buy a lot for that, but, you know, if we can get lots of people putting $1 in, you know, that all mounts up, and we can do something with that amount of money. Or alternatively, if you just want to chip in a few bucks on PayPal, links there, guys. So you know, it's the weekend. I want to say enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hope you have a good one with your families, and, you know, we'll be back in the week with a couple of build videos on the new magnetometers that we're putting together. And I'll say what I usually do. Links down there, guys, if you want to support, and as always, bye for now.